All right, guys, welcome back. So I wanted to make a quick explainer video showing you how to install Linux and WSL Ubuntu on your Windows machine. So as some of my good friendos may know, that recently I've discovered that putting AI in the Linux terminal and then accessing it from there, especially via a IDE like Cursor or VS Code or something of that nature, really unlocks the AI. I'm talking a whole new level. It's nothing you've ever imagined. It can't even be compared to the so-called browser AI or the desktop app that most of you are used to using. Whether you use free or have a subscription, I'm certain that your experience is all the same, and it's probably relatively straightforward, even simplistic, and ability to produce quite limited. So we know that there's all kinds of extensions and plugins, and there's even MCP offered to the desktop app. But when you start to use them in practice, they're super limited and they perform poorly. In my previous video, I do demonstrate this, and it does work to an extent, but guys, the once you use AI inside of the terminal and inside of an IDE, you will realize that the rest is just a parlor trick. It's nothing but a sandbox in a wrapper, and getting the AI to do anything meaningful is extremely difficult. Hopefully, some of you will also realize how powerful this is and how truthfully game changing this is. I've created a Cloud Coding Cursor Windows plus WSL Ubuntu document here. I'm going to go through it and actually record the process in front of you and treat it as a guide. Hopefully, you will be able to do this yourself and will be demystified and made simpler. I know this can be overwhelming. It looks difficult, it seems complex. The integrated development environment is for coders. So we're all put off by that from the beginning. We think we're not coders, we don't have a chance of understanding such things. And I'll admit that it is daunting. It is overwhelming at first, but just with a little bit of guidance and a little bit of practice, it opens up quick and becomes really inspiring and powerful. So here we go. As you can see, what we need to do first is install WSL. This is essentially putting Linux on your Windows machine. So I'm using Windows, so that's where I'm going to start from. You'll start by visiting the Windows button here and putting in Windows App Store, just like this. And then once you're right here, you will just search Ubuntu. And then this one is the one we're looking for right here. Download it. All right, so it looks like it has completed the download and installation. So I'm going ahead and just start it like this. And as you can see, press any key to install Windows Subsystem for Linux. So that's what WSL stands for. And then we'll go right into downloading it. Okay, press any key to exit. And so that is a sort of preliminary step. What we have to do now is actually restart it. And when you come here to your Windows start screen, you'll have Ubuntu now. Okay, so you can see that there's a start screen here for WSL, so that indicates that it's more or less complete, but now you've got to set up a username. So I'm just going to make it JJAI like that. And so it's going to prompt you to make a password. When you type your password, it's not going to appear. So for people that are used to using Mac or Windows, it's going to seem strange. And so that's just one of the quirks of Linux and something that you have to get used to. Okay, so I entered my password in there twice. Installation successful. All right, so that brings us to the next step. Okay, the next step is up now, guys. From here, we have to update and upgrade Ubuntu and install some software packages or tools that it needs to use. So we'll start that by just entering the following commands. Sudo stands for super user do, and the apt is actually advanced package tool. So that's basically a package manager for installing, updating, or removing software within Linux. So we'll do that and then update, and then we'll use these commands ampersand sudo apt upgrade, and then -y stands for yes to all. And then they'll ask me to enter my password again. All right. A really important thing to point out is the next one, and that is the so-called curl and CA certificates build essential. What you guys probably don't realize, and what is kind of exciting about this whole thing, is that this is going to allow the AI to make curl commands inside of Linux. And what that is essentially the ability to make HTTP API calls, which you will soon come to understand that it is one of the most exciting and powerful tools that the AI can have. It's something that we as normies don't quite fully realize. For the AI to be truly powerful and take our jobs, it needs to be equipped with tools. One of the primary tools is curl commands, which are calling third party software services via their API, their application programming interface, and using HTTP, so the hypertext transfer protocol language that we're all used to seeing in the front of the web address of our of Google or of our websites, etc. So that's all a computer language. And when you see something like yahoo.com and you're looking at the news of the day, whether it be finance or sports or whatever, those are essentially the browser making HTTP API calls to endpoints which provide data. You can either get the data or post the data, generally speaking. And so integrating the AI into the terminal in Linux and giving it curl commands makes it able to do almost anything you can imagine. Some of these things have already been available in the browser or desktop app of your favorite AI service, like making Excel files or PDFs, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. The foundation of this is a curl command and being able to have the AI interact with APIs. That is what we need here. Okay, so that looks like it's finished for now. We'll go to the next one and do the same thing, super user do, apt, and then we're going to install and say yes to all that, and curl CA certificates build dash essential. Once again, this is what's going to make you think, wow, this is how AI was meant to perform. This is what everybody was talking about when the richest people in the world and the leaders in tech talk about the future. The AI has to have access to tools, unfettered, unrestricted access to tools. And then it can do what you want it to do. All right, so that's the first part. With that, we are wrapping it up and we're going to enter into the next phase. Okay, guys, the next section is about Node.js or JavaScript. So, what we have to do now is install Node.js, which is JavaScript for the terminal. Let's take a look at this. So, NVM is called the Node Version Manager GitHub repository, and we are downloading Node.js right here. So you could actually just download this yourself directly. You could just download it right here for Windows and install it yourself. But I'm going to show you another way. You can come in here, and this is where it is on GitHub, and get this thing, which I have put inside of my document right here. So what I'm going to do is copy that and then go back over here to our terminal. So this is another interesting thing. Sometimes you're not able to copy paste into WSL because it has a different set of command functions than Windows or Mac. If you copy something and then you want to paste it, you just right click and it will paste it like that. Once that is done, you can see right here it says close and reopen your terminal to start using NVM or run the following to use it now. So you can hit the Windows key and type in Ubuntu, open it up again. To check that you were successful, you can put nvm-v for version, and you'll see the version. Now that we have installed NVM, we have to install Node. So we're just going to enter NVM install and then dash latest like that. And there we go. And now the latest version, NVM use dash dash LTS. Yep. Dash version. Yep. There we go. So we got the node 24-12. Yep, all set. So from here, some people would like to move on to install Git. And so traditionally or historically, people are using Git or GitHub as a place to store their code. When you develop software, many engineers may be working on a code base at the same time. They use GitHub as a repository to store the code, and then they will take down bits of it to work on some kind of function. When they fix it, they will push it back to the repo in the cloud. This is something that we may do in the future, but I don't want to complicate it at the moment because it is not, strictly speaking, absolutely required. We, as average users of AI, can skip GitHub and that entire element because we're not developing software, at least not at this stage. Now, I am personally using Git because I like to access the AI in the terminal at home and then go to my work computer and access it there. The smoothest way to do that is not to use any kind of OneDrive or Dropbox or Google Drive. That is not very stable and is prone to having errors. The best way is to use the Git. So this would be a good place to actually install the Git, but at the moment, I'm going to pass that and we're going to move on to installing Python. The next step is to install Python. Python 3 is a software language that is very important. You definitely want to give the AI access to Python because it can conduct a lot of its activities by using Python code. You'll just have to reference my Claude code inside WSL instruction document and just type in the superuser do apt install dash y python 3 and then python 3 dash pip python 3 dash venv, just like venv like this. Then it will want your password. Just install it like that very quickly. Then you can type in Python 3 dash dash version. Python 3 dash dash version. You can see we've got Python 3.12.3 and then PIP 3 dash version. And there we go. So that is very important to also have Python installed in your Linux terminal as well. The next step after you've installed Python is to actually install the Claude code. We used npm, which we installed previously, and then I just type in the following instructions, which are in my Google document. Check on Claude version, and there we go. Which Claude? Yeah. The next step is going to be to authenticate. So we're going to just start by putting Claude in like this, and we'll get this interface. I'll just open it up to full screen, and then it will ask you to choose your theme. I'm just going to choose dark, and then this is the next important juncture. You're going to either use your Claude subscription or an API key from a console account. It is possible to get an API key and pay per use. This means that you just pay per entry. Every time you talk with Claude, you pay a couple pennies. And this is actually really nice. You can start quick and it's relatively cheap. Long term, as you start to use this aggressively and frequently, you're going to want to have a Claude account with subscription. So I can demo both of these here. All right, to get an Anthropic console API key, you're going to want to come to console.claude, console.anthropic.com. You'll sign in here and get an API key. So this is where you get the API key. As you can see right here, it says get an API key. I've already made one here. You create another key, and that will allow you to use it on a per use basis. What does that look like? API key pricing, you can see using the API key, the best model they have is looking like these are basing our input tokens versus output tokens. So roughly one token is equal to how many English words is one token? And it's one token equals 4 characters or roughly 3/4 of a word. So if you look at the pricing for 5 million for 1 million tokens in and 1 million tokens out, you're looking at around $30. So that's 750,000 words. It's not cheap, it's not expensive, but it's not cheap. In the long run, it will be quite expensive if you're using it every day. So if you decide to use it every day, you're probably going to want to get a subscription. But anyway, let's move back to the cloud account with subscription. So I'm going to use my subscription right now. So it's going to ask me to open the browser to sign in, and it's going to prompt me to take this bit of URL here, and then I'm going to enter that in my browser like this. The next step is to actually log in with your email subscription. It will ask you to authorize, just like this. Then it will return a single token here. I'll copy this code, go back to my WSL, my Ubuntu, and paste it in like this. And then I'll press enter. Enter again to begin. Claude can make mistakes, of course. Press enter to continue. Press enter to accept. I trust this folder. And here we are. Now we've got Claude in the terminal. We can ask it any question we want. Hi, Claude, are you there? Now we can actually use Claude in Linux. Okay, so yes, I'm here. How can I help you today? What does this mean now that Claude is in my terminal? All right, let me give you a quick example and a short demo. First of all, you have to have Visual Studio Code, and you can just go online and search download VS Code. You can use Cursor, Hero, Roo, Windsurf. There are many, but you can get this one for Windows. I already have it on this machine, so VS Code, it's right here. I'm going to come into my root folder in my C drive, and I go to Users, my own personal folder here, and I'm just going to start a new folder called My Project. Whatever it is, your finances, your social media, your company's website, your email, whatever project you have, you make yourself a project folder, and then you open up VS Code like this. Once you're in here, you just click on File, Open Folder, and then I can come down to my C drive and to Users and to my root folder, and then go to My Project, and then select that folder, and then come into Terminal, click on New Terminal, and then you want to click on this downward caret here and open Ubuntu. Once that's open, then we can prompt Claude to appear, and that same interface will be displayed. This interface on the left is just my project, and it works just like Windows, but now I can talk to Claude in it. And so then I can say, okay, Claude, let's do a test. Please make a txt folder in my project folder. Oh, we call that file. Please make a txt file in my project folder called test. And of course, he will ask you at the beginning, and we can overcome this in time. The special characteristic of this interface is that he will always ask for your permission. You can use the arrow keys to go to, yes, always allow edits during this session. And boom, look what he did. He created a text file called test. And now he also has built-in browser because we gave him curl. We gave him curl commands. So we can say, can you go to the website johnjones.ai and tell me what it says? So again, he's asking me for permission. I say yes, and don't ask again. Right. Look, he just instantaneously came back and said, it's a business consulting and AI automation platform run by John Jones. You see, he just searched the web, and you're like, oh, okay, well, ChatGPT can do that in my browser, and he can. But this is just the beginning. We can say, make a summary here and put it in a note in my project. look, you did a summary of it. This is just scratching the surface. You can tell him to create images, make websites, make products, email people, get data from the NFL or NBA and do an analysis, scrape your competitor's website and watch their products or, do an analysis of anything that they're doing. It really is the sky is the limit and your imagination is actually the limit. Focus and my goal here was just to teach you how to get the AI into the Linux terminal and then into an IDE like VS Code. This is the first step towards your incredible new future. I'm going to end this video and I hope that is helpful. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, guys.